Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ. One Montana state senator trying to send Montana tax dollars down south for a border wall.
That total ringing up to $8 million, and a number of Montana residents wanting their money to stay where they live.
As the federal government remains shut down while President Trump and congressional Democrats battle over funding for that southern border wall, one Montana lawmaker creating even more controversy with his latest proposal.
The president of the state Senate, Scott Sales, says he'd like Montana to give the president and the border wall some support in the form of $8 million of state money. Sales plans to ask the legislature to approve a resolution that will express support for building the border wall. But he also wants to put some of Montana's taxpayer money where its mouth is. The Republican from Bozeman says he'll also sponsor a bill to spend the money as Montana's share of building the $5 billion wall.
Sales says the $8 million figure is just a fraction of the $5 billion, equal to Montana's percentage of the national economy. He says border security is of vital importance to the nation and that his bills are one way to press the issue.
I've been in the legislature a long time. I haven't typically supported a lot of additional government spending, but I think this is such a critical issue at a critical time. I think it behooves us to take a look at maybe prompting Congress to do what they should do. I've supported this concept. I think a lot of Americans voted for President Trump and Montanans on this one concept alone.
But Democratic House Leader Casey Schreiner of Great Falls told MTN News Wednesday the bills are just political grandstanding and that Democrats are in Helena to work on problems that are actually facing the state.
I would love to send a message to the people of Montana as they see their property taxes increase and taxes along the way that we are going to focus on finding ways to reduce those costs than burdens on them than sending money out of state to corporations to build a wall that, again, is not a Montana solution.
Republicans do control majorities in the Montana House and Senate, but any spending bill on border wall funding must also get the signature of Democratic Governor Steve Bullock.
The stalemate over the border wall heated up today as President Trump met with Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer at the White House. Other Republican and Democratic leaders who attended are giving different accounts of the fiery meeting, which was held behind closed doors. Natalie Brandt has the latest from the White House.
After President Trump's Oval Office address to the nation Tuesday night about border security and the wall, the rift between the White House and Democrats grew even wider.
We have a better idea of how to keep our country safe, and it isn't a wall.
Mr. Trump and Democratic leaders met face-to-face on Wednesday, but talks quickly broke down.
He sort of slammed the table. And when Leader Pelosi said she didn't agree with the wall, he just walked out.
The president then turned to the speaker and politely asked her, okay, Nancy, if we open the government up in 30 days, could we have border security? She raised her hand and said, no, not at all.
After the meeting, the president tweeted that it was, quote, a total waste of time. I said, bye-bye.
He is going to stand firm to achieve his priorities, to build a wall.
The president is scheduled to visit the southern border in Texas on Thursday as this partial shutdown heads into day 20.
We have more people coming up. You have caravans. Nobody ever heard of a caravan.
Over on Capitol Hill, White House senior advisor Jared Kushner huddled with GOP senators hoping to break the impasse.
I'm somewhat hopeful that maybe there's a way to get what the president wants in a fashion that would do the least amount of damage to the country as possible.
The bill is passed.
House Democrats, with the support of 8 House Republicans, passed legislation Wednesday night that would reopen the Treasury Department and IRS, but without funding for the border wall. The bill is unlikely to pass the Senate. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Democrats are expected to pass 3 other funding bills this week. An estimated 800,000 federal employees on furlough or working without pay face missing a paycheck on Friday.
Well, just about 25% of government employees are directly impacted by the shutdown. Montana's apparently feeling one of the biggest burdens. The Washington Post reports Montana is the 4th most affected area in the nation. Washington, D.C. easily takes the top spot, but then Alaska, Maryland, and Montana all round out the areas with the highest impact per capita. In Montana, there are about 14,000 federal employees, and the total number of affected employees is about half that, 7,200. The top three areas feeling the brunt: agriculture, the Department of Interior, and Health and Human Services. Those areas make up about 6,500 of the 7,200 total. In all 50 states, the total salaries of those laid off tops $1.4 billion per week.
Days after Montana Secretary of State Corey Stapleton announced he's running for governor, an ethics complaint is filed against him. Now, that complaint was filed on January 7th to the Montana Commissioner of Political Practices by the Montana Democratic Party. It says Secretary Stapleton, who is a Republican, violated state law by using his official position with the state of Montana to announce his candidacy. Montana Democrats say on January 2nd, Stapleton sent out an official announcement from a state email account and used a letterhead containing the official Montana state seal. Stapleton, who is 51, is a former state senator and financial advisor from Billings. Democratic Governor Steve Bullock cannot run for re-election because of term limits. We reached out to Stapleton's office for comment and will update you when we hear back.
Parents at Washington Elementary in Billings asking for answers just one day after a third-grade student brought a handgun to school. Superintendent Greg Upham telling us the incident happened late in the school day and was brought to their attention by a concerned student who told their teacher. Now, Q2 first broke this story last night, and some 24 hours later, few new details are being released, but some parents are demanding answers. Q2's Samantha Sullivan has more.
Jennifer Mars, who has a first grader at Washington Elementary, was one of the many parents upset after they say they were not notified of an incident where a third grade student had a gun in school until hours after the school day was over.
I think they should call the parents immediately and let them know what's going on. I would have liked to have had a phone call.
Mars said that she never actually got a call and that they had no information until her husband received a robo-message around 10 o'clock last night.
That a student had brought a gun to school and that they were on lockdown for part of the day.
Superintendent Upham says he recognizes the frustration of the delay and the worry from parents.
We did our best to communicate with our parents last night when the event occurred, and we had information that we could share with the parents. And it was partly gathering information. It was also part of the robocall system that we have in place, and then also making sure that all parents have updated information with their cells and that type of situation, so that when we do send that information, that it goes to an active person.
Upham says it's also important for parents to safely store their firearms and to talk to their kids about communicating with adults if they see something wrong.
It's so important that parents and caregivers communicate with their parents, with their students and the schools, that it's such a welcoming environment that everyone feels safe to go to an adult at any point in time and share that information. This was a win because of that. So we want to continue to encourage that kind of communication and behavior.
In Billings, Samantha Sullivan, MTN News.
Now, Upham says the district will continue to work to improve its robocall notification system to help parents get information just as soon as possible.
Turning to weather, Bob, we definitely have not had as much snow as we did last year.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we're expecting warmer temperatures, plenty of sunshine for the next 6 or 7 days. So we got to think, well, how are we doing in the snowfall department? Well, take a look. Here's your 2018-2019 snowfall so far. In Billings, we've had 15.1 inches of snow. Normal for this year to date is 22.4 inches. So that means we're 7.3 inches below normal. Last year at this time, we were at 37.5 inches. Other places like Glasgow, they are at 12.4. They're about 4 inches below normal. They were a little bit less than what they had last year. Great Falls, they're at 17. They're about 8 inches below what they had last year. And last year at this time, they were at 36.1 inches. So yeah, they've quite a bit. Missoula's reported 20 inches of snow. We don't have reports for the normal departures, normal, and what they had last year as well. Anyway, our forecast is talking no snow at all. We'll chat about that coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Citizens across the country, including right here in Billings, supporting officers for National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Now, Shields employees stepped up to honor police in Billings, and the group Concerns of Police Survivors and Vitalant Blood Services put on the National Blue Blood Drive. There are about 150 in the Billings Police Department and 50 in the Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff Mike Lindner says integrity and a willingness to serve make up good law enforcement officers. He says the public support comes when the different agencies work together. The honoring of officers started back in 2015 because of negativity and a lack of appreciation toward law enforcement.
We're going to have a little bit wherever you're at. We're very fortunate, as I said, that we don't see near as much as they do in other parts of the country. You saw what happened down on the river the other day, you know, how well everybody worked together, and a lot of positive comments and feedback from the community after that was done. It's great, it's wonderful that the community supports us like they do, and we thank them for their support.
Well, Mayor Bill Cole signing a proclamation making January 9th Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in Billings, and he encouraged showing that support for the whole month of January.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, it's been an uphill climb for the stock markets the past few days, but will it stay there?
Plus, one man is giving his last few months in life the best shot he knows how.
And in sports, Kane Ione to Montana State, Courtney Messingham to Kansas State. Scott has details on both.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.